Hey there! In this video I want to talk about perfectionism. And it was funny because I had this idea already in my mind for a couple of days, even weeks I think, and the moment I just put all my gear down, install myself and sit and start with recording this video, the sun is going down, so the light, I don't know, I hope it will be okay, and the crickets are getting really loud now where I am, and there's just a lot of action because it's like almost dinner time, so there are a lot of sounds around me. And I was like, should I stop and wait until I, for example, tomorrow have more time to record this video and talk to you in more silence? And then I was like, no, it's actually very interesting to record a video about perfectionism and to not do it in a perfect way and to not wait for the perfect moment or the perfect timing. And I will see afterwards when I have to edit this video if I'm satisfied or not. But for now, this video is about perfectionism, what it is, why we have this trait, why we believe it is a character trait, why we are sometimes proud of it, but actually it isn't a character trait. We shouldn't be proud of it, and it's actually a protection mechanism or coping mechanism to deal with stress, anxiety, or fear of failure, for example. And it is a way of sabotaging yourself, your growth, your healing, and the transformation that you so long for. So I think the crickets are getting down a little bit now, so now you can even hear me better. But let's dive into the topic. So first, if you're watching this video, you're curious about your perfectionism, right? You must be asking yourself these questions like, why am I such a perfectionist? And why is it holding me back so much? Why do I have to do everything perfect? Well, if you're watching a lot of my other videos, you know I'm talking a lot about past trauma, childhood negative experiences, insecurities, emotional neglect, and all the ways in which our society and the families we grew up in has forced us to suppress who we truly are out of shame, fear, or guilt, for example. So if you grow up in a society, in our society, which is very dysfunctional and demanding and oppressive, you learn already from a very young age that your worth is tied to your results. You start to believe already from a very young age that what you do in life, the value you deliver, the results you deliver, what you accomplish, that is tied to your worthiness, to your existential worthiness and right to exist in some way. So it isn't really that weird that you create something like perfectionism to make you feel safe, to not feel ashamed, to not feel guilty, and to feel worthy. And maybe you already discovered this for yourself, but behind your perfectionism there is a big fear of failure, a fear of making mistakes, a fear of looking like a lunatic, to feel ashamed, to be exposed in some way to the world, the fear that one day people will knock on your door, you will open the door and they will tell you you're a fraud, that actually you're not worthy of life, you're not worthy of existing, you're not worthy of doing the things that you want to do, you're not worthy of creating the life you dream of and sharing your talents and gifts with the world. So perfectionism is really tied to your sense of self and your sense of self-worth. It's this belief that if you just keep on succeeding, not making mistakes, doing everything perfect, delivering perfect results, always living up to the expectations of the outside world, looking the most beautiful, being the most intelligent, being the best in everything that you do, then you are a good person. Then you are worthy of the love that you so crave. Then you are worthy of validation, recognition, praise. Then you are worthy of the money that you earn. Then you are worthy of the attention that you receive from the people you love. Then you are a good person. Then you are a kind person. Then you are not a bad person. Then you are whatever you think that you have to be. And behind all of this is the number one emotion that is making you create perfectionism when you are a little child. And this is shame. A deep internalized shame with deficiency stories around that shame of why you are not worthy of love, why you are a bad person, etc. And this shame and these beliefs around that shame, they were all created in your childhood. You could have experienced negative childhood experiences, bullying, but also emotional neglect from your parents, relational trauma in the family system, intergenerational trauma that has been passed down from your parents to you, and of course their parents to your parents. but also the society, the systems we are living in, the culture, the school system, the political system. Everything is so demanding and oppressive and asking of you to suppress who you truly are, to conform to the norm, to be a good civilian, and to make sure that you fit in. And as a little child, when you are very dependent and vulnerable, as I always say in all my videos, the only thing that you want to do is to survive. And fitting in means survival. So often you choose to fit in and to conform and to suppress your authentic self. And the tactics that are being used by parents, by teachers, by political leaders, by our society and the systems as a whole are fear, mind control, and shaming. We are so shamed and mocked and ridiculed if we do not fit in. So everything that is not fitting the norm is being shamed, whether this is really small in your family system or whether this is at school or in society as a whole. And if we grow up in a society where your results and the value that you deliver is tied to your worth, and your worth is tied to your survival, then of course it is possible that you develop something as perfectionism, that you develop the idea and the belief as a little child, I must do everything perfect because then I will receive love, recognition, validation, praise. Then I will get my emotional needs met from my parents, and that is something that I really need. And then I will survive in this society, in these systems. It is possible that you create perfectionism when you grow up in an emotionally immature and unpredictable environment with an emotionally unavailable or unpredictable parent, mother or father. Maybe in the past you got punished when you didn't do your homework, you got punished when you made mistakes or didn't have good grades. Maybe you saw your older brother being punished for his school results and you internalized this as a little child because you saw your mother and or your father getting angry at your brother, disconnecting from him. And disconnection, as I always say, is a threat to your survival as a little child. So you decided, I will not have that disconnection. I will start do everything perfectly, not make mistakes, get the best grades, and then I will get the love and the recognition and the validation and the safety that I need. But it could even go deeper. Like I told you, there's shame behind perfectionism. And this shame about your existence and about your worthiness is also already created in your younger years. It could be that you had emotionally, mentally, or physically abusive parents, or addicted parents, emotionally absent parents, physically absent parents. It could be all kinds of things that you have experienced as a little child, which I call complex trauma in your childhood, where you felt unsafe over a prolonged period of time and didn't get your basic and emotional needs met in relationships with your parents. And it could be that because of this you created perfectionism as a protection mechanism, because perfectionism is really a protection mechanism. It is protecting you from ever feeling the intense suppressed emotions from your childhood ever again. Emotions like grief, sadness, anger, resentment, fear, loneliness, helplessness, shame. As a little child, when you experience something like relational trauma, emotional neglect, abuse, addicted parents, unsafety, bullying, war, rape, everything trauma related, you experience intense, heavy emotions. Not even with the big traumas, but also with the small traumas of your parents not being able to be emotionally present with you. You experience big, intense emotions and you don't know how to deal with that. You don't know how to process these emotions. You don't know what is happening to you, and there's nobody there to help you with that, to help you process that and respond to it in an emotionally mature way. The only thing you can do is dissociate from these emotions, stuff them away, suppress them somewhere in your body, and create mechanisms around them so that you will never have to feel these intense emotions anymore. And perfectionism is such a mechanism. You decide, I will do everything perfectly from now on, and that will keep me safe. So it's a mechanism to keep you safe. So it is possible that you have created a deficiency story around why you are not worthy of life and love. And we all have these stories inside of us. We all have these wounds of unworthiness inside of us. We all have this shame inside of us. I have videos about shame and wound of unworthiness that you can watch to understand this better. But we all have experienced some kind of events, big or small, that created these wounds inside of us and that made us create these protection mechanisms around them. And the moment you experience that you did not do something perfect, that you receive criticism or just feedback in general, this is a huge trigger for these suppressed emotions and trauma and shame beneath your perfectionism, beneath the thin layer and identity that you have created as a protection mechanism. So the moment you experience that you're not doing something perfectly, that you made mistakes, that you receive criticism or feedback, this glass cage of your perfectionism, it breaks, and you are being confronted with your biggest suppressed emotions, such as grief and shame. And this is really intense to experience. And it's this fear of experiencing this deep internalized shame that is making you use perfectionism up until today as a protection mechanism. You fear that when you are not perfect, this will mean a disconnection with the people around you and with the world at large. This will mean that you are being abandoned, rejected, blamed, that people will get angry with you. All kinds of things that you fear, you have to discover that for yourself. And you can discover that for yourself by asking yourself the questions, why am I such a perfectionist? Can this perfectionist part inside of me come forward and tell me when it was created and why? What happens when we aren't perfect? What will people discover about me? What is the deficiency story and the shame that is underneath the perfectionism? Often it is some form of disconnection. Rejection, abandonment, people getting angry with you, people mocking, ridiculing you, running away from you, etc., blaming you. And this disconnection is such a big trigger for your deepest wounds and your deepest trauma hidden inside of you, somewhere in your body. And this is why you fear to fail, to make mistakes, and you have to do everything perfect, because you don't want these wounds to be ripped open and you being left with your wounds to process and to feel and release them. So it's almost sometimes like a neurotic idea. I recognize perfectionism really inside of myself, and the idea that I'm not perfect, every time something happens and I receive feedback or criticism, because of course I do, I'm so scared. It's like I'm almost scared to death, like, oh no, and I feel like such a bad person, and it's something neurotic that is happening in my head. Like, I'm a bad person, I'm not good, I do not deserve anything that I do right now. It's these beliefs go really deep, and I know them myself. I've done the work, so I recognize this pattern, and I know how to regulate myself again when it happens. But it's really an internal alarm system, a trauma response, a trigger that is being activated when you start to experience that something you did wasn't perfect, or the idea of wanting to start something but being afraid of it not being perfect, right? It's also really a self-sabotage, the perfectionism. It's also holding you back. It's making you procrastinate. So we have to take that seriously. We have to take this survival system that gets activated, the dysregulation, when perfectionism is triggered. We have to take it seriously. We have to understand what it is. We have to sit with ourselves and do the body work, do parts work, make contact with the parts inside of us that are scared to death when they are not being perceived as perfect. Because it's all about being perceived as perfect. So we have to take this alarm system very seriously. We have to take a deep dive inside, work with the parts that want to be a perfectionist, talk to them, and then slowly also do an emotional inquiry exercise. Go to the trauma that has created you to become a perfectionist and process that trauma and feel and stay present with the emotions around and connected to that trauma. Understand why you created your perfectionism, what it is protecting you from, and then feeling the deep unsafety and fear around it. When I do these exercises myself, because I know that my perfectionism is triggered, because it is holding me back from creating videos, or it is blocking my perception of what is happening in relationship with someone, or when I at work or one-on-one with my clients, I have to go to that unsafety. I have to feel that fear. I use my voice to feel that fear. I really scream and shout, really, really go through that unsafety, so that in the end I can literally feel lighter again and feel that I have it in me to soothe and carry myself, and to feel that I'm okay and safe even when I don't do anything or something in a perfect way. And it's almost like a little death when working on all kinds of things, of course, in the healing journey, but also the perfectionism, because you created this mechanism to receive love and connection. And as a little child, that meant, as I said, survival. So letting go of that mechanism that your whole system believes is keeping you safe and alive. It's not really crazy that your system then thinks that it is going to die. But it isn't. You know now that it isn't by watching this video, maybe using one of my tools to work with perfectionism. But knowing this upfront can help you to go through it when you're doing the work with the parts inside of you that want to be perfectionists. And then it's really sitting with the shame. Really processing that shame. Really acknowledging the parts inside of you that truly believe you're unworthy. The parts inside of you that are feeling so helpless and alone and scared. The parts inside of you that needed someone to guide it in all these intense, heavy experiences, such as trauma, addicted parents, abusive parents, war, the demanding and dysfunctional society, bullying, emotionally absent parents, the things you have experienced as a little child. And it is now soothing and comforting and reparenting that wounded part inside of you, being the parent that it never had. And slowly over time, you will experience that the perfectionism is getting less and less and less, and you dare to make mistakes, you dare to learn and grow. You even understand that making a mistake, not doing things perfectly, can help you to grow and do the things that you love so much. I really had to learn that. Like, I have this big ambition. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here and listen to me with my company Beyond Psychology. But I really had to learn to make mistakes, not do things perfectly, to receive feedback. And when I started to work with the shame and integrate that and acknowledge it, and acknowledge the shame inside of me, it was very vulnerable, but it really helped me to integrate it, to make it part of my existence. And to become consciously aware of that I'm perfectly fine if I don't do things perfectly. And that even when I soothe myself and regulate my nervous system and increase my level of emotional tolerance, that is the amount of awareness that I can give and just sit in presence with my suppressed emotions, that slowly over time the alarm bell didn't ring anymore. My nervous system stayed regulated, even when receiving feedback or criticism or making mistakes. And there became more mental space for me to just learn and grow, and to see it as a game and to play and enjoy it. And to understand that it is all part of the process of becoming the person I want to be in the future. There was no other way. And then you understand that criticism, feedback from the right people, which is really important, discernment, making mistakes, growing and learning, it's an invitation for you to become better at what you're so passionate about. And that is where your personal power lies.